Good morning, dear our smart students. Today's topic is about peculiarities of teaching of foreign languages to adults. Okay, in this page we have references to prepare to this presentation and also this topic is about. And there is a framework English language teaching and learning language education psychology. Theoretical underpinning first language education, second language acquisition, uh, research methodology, and also linguistics. The place of English is a lingua franca. The number of English speakers 6 and 700 million speak English in Asia alone. 100 million children are learning English nowadays. How English got there? A colonial history, economics, travel, information exchange, popular culture, varieties of English inner circle, outer circle, and expanding circle for specific or general purposes. For reasons of learning second foreign language and protocols of it, academic to pursue degrees of or certificates. Only a small portion, in fact, non-academic, to survive in target language community, for example, talking to neighbors, helping children at school, or carrying out daily functions effectively. B. English for specific purpose is P, you know. Nowadays, you are also studying this subject and to learning the uh, the language as to apply in work, culture, to know about the target community, miscellaneous, to learn for pleasure, for integrating into a culture or to be forced to understand students' need and motivation of learning a language is crucial for successful learning and teaching. Research findings on second language approach. Adults and adolescents can acquire a language too. The learners create a systematic language with the same systematic errors as the child learning language one. There are predictable sequence in execution. Practice doesn't make perfect. Knowing a linguistic rule doesn't mean knowing how to use it. Yes. Isolated explicit error correction is usually ineffective. More adult learners fossilize. One cannot achieve a native live command of a language too, and 1 hour a day. The learner's task is enormous since language is complex and meaningful context is paramount. Advantages children benefit from in learning a foreign language. Children's greater potential for developing accurate pronunciation, accent, and fluency before puberty. Children's favorable attitude towards a language and its culture, either their mother tongue or a second language. Children's less mental barriers of learning than adults. Children's learning to language simultaneously without suffering from interlingual interference. listening along with speaking a preliminary and preferable role in the natural order of language acquisition for children. And we have got uh, minus, but the learners of different ages have different characteristics. Is more preferable than the critical hypothesis. Besides, accurate pronunciation is not the most important goal of language learning but a necessary or desirable goal. There are also other factors that determine the effectiveness of one's language learning, such as teachers' language competence, the learning environment, and so on. A good learner of English is willing to experiment, willing to listen, willing to ask questions, willing to think about how to learn, independent, responsible. This is a goal of English learners or teachers. According to Brown, a good language teacher is characterized by technical knowledge, understanding linguistics, grasping basic principles of language learning and teaching, language proficiencies in speaking, reading, writing, and listening. Knowledge about language learning process through one's own experience, understanding the relationship between culture and language, and knowledge of latest development of language teaching and learning. Thi- This is a way of being a good English teacher. And the second one, pedagogical skills, will inform language teaching approaches, teaching techniques, ability in lesson plan design, and other classroom behavior management skills. The third one is interpersonal skills. The first one is personal qualities. And I'm going to introduce what is TESOL, TEFL, TESOL. TESOL is acronym for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, used particularly in the USA to describe of teaching of English in situation where it is a user a second language or a foreign language. TAFL, an acronym for Teaching English as a Foreign Language, used to describe the teaching of English in situations where it is a foreign language. TASL, an acronym for Teaching English as a Second Language, used either to describe the teaching of English in situations where it is a second language or to refer to any situation where English is taught to speakers of other languages. And what is ASL? An abbreviation for English as a second language, such as in Singapore. AFL, an abbreviation for English as a foreign language, such as Japan. PhD Pizza Hut Delivery. And also we have got learning and types of learnings, deductive learning of grammar. It is an approach to language learning in which learners are taught rules and given specific information about the language. They then apply the rules when they use a language. For example, in the grammar translation method, specific grammar rules are given to learners and practice subsequently follows to familiarize students with the rule. The features of it are time saving and suitable for adult learners Who can afford abstract thinking? Besides, it's widely used in F, EFL context where exposure to the target language is limited and the length of instruction time is short. Example: GTM adult learners, FI analytical learners, EFL contexts. Inductive learning, it is important approach to language learning in which learners are not taught grammatical or other types of rules directly but are left to discover or induce rules from their experience of using the language. Language teaching method which emphasize use of the language rather than presentation of information about the language include the direct method to communicative approach and counseling learning. The features of it are time consuming and ap- applicable to young learners in natural settings such as ESL contexts. Performance and competence. Performance, a person's actual use of language. How a person uses his knowledge of a language in producing and understanding sentence. Competence, as a person's knowledge of a language. People may have the competence to proceed this a long sentence, but then when they actually try to use this knowledge, there are reasons why they restrict it. For example, they may run out of the breath or their listeners forget what has been said if the sentence is too long. Due to performance factors such as fatigue, lack of attention, nervousness, or excitement, their actual use of language may not reflect their competence. The errors they make are described as examples of performance. And execution and learning. Excavation, the process by which people naturally develop proficiency in a language. Learning, the process by which people formally develop language proficiency. And they are the processing top down and bottom down also. And in teaching, there are such kind of approaches and uh, methods, and with these methods, uh, in teaching process will be very completed. It's a teacher-centered teaching, learner-centered teaching, and also in teaching we have got such kind of tools gain target language and native language. And also we have got such kind of assistance language form and language function in teaching. And for using these approach methods and their peculiarities, our lesson will be very good and will be very useful to our learners. Thank you for your attention. If you have got new information from this presentation, I will be very glad. Goodbye, dears.